You can always do the soundboard in post, you know?
I could do the soundboard in post. It's just amazing. It just doesn't, everything just stops working. I don't get why every other time I turn the computer on, it's reset every setting to default.
And Michael and I were talking about how Discord is a menace for this reason. And I guess every program is following suit for some reason.
Well, it's the same. I think I 100% know we've talked about it on the podcast of like, essentially what these programs are doing is walking in and just snipping all the cords and being like, this is too much of a mess. I don't like any of this in your office, right? Let's say you had like 15 cords going different directions to patch things together, and someone just walked in and was like, this looks like a mess, and just disconnected everything. That's what these programs are doing. Well, as we begin an episode of We Were Gamers 3-1 something, let's talk about someone who decided to not put people in pain. Last week we talked about hello guys, sorry.
Well, hi there.
Hi, Michael.
Who are you? What is this?
I'm Andy.
What are we
That's
doing?
Michael. JJ's here.
Hey.
This is We Were Gamers. Last week we talked about
318.
318. Ubisoft is the company I was trying to think of until I got the numbers 318 stuck in my head, and the unfortunate way they were sunsetting some of their services. This week, Bioware and EA announced that they were going to stop allowing purchases with Bioware points or whatever. They were just going to sunset that whole program, which came out with like Dragon Age and Mass Effect
originals
3, I think, or something like that.
No, all the Mass Effects had it.
All of them.
Yeah. So you could use Bioware points to buy DLC. You could use Bioware points in that Star Wars game that they had. You could use Bioware points a lot of places. They've slowly matriculated out of all these things, and then they just said this week they're going to cut it off. You know what they did instead of the Ubisoft method?
This is such a glorious idea.
Didn't they make it all free?
Yeah. Yeah, they did.
Yeah, I thought I saw that.
Yep.
They're just like, go download it. Who cares? Whatever.
They're like, well, you know, the liability for bad press here ain't worth the money of trying to figure any of this out. So here, all the DLC is free now. Yeah.
I should go plug my 360 back in and try and download all the DLC for Mass Effect 2.
That's true. I mean, but that's all even true through the Origin stuff too. You could just go download Mass Effect 3 and then the DLC for free. Or you could not download Mass Effect 3. I don't think it matters because most people probably want that if you're going to get Mass Effect
Legendary Edition.
Yeah, the Legendary Edition, which comes with all the DLC anyway.
Almost all the DLC.
Oh no, what's missing?
There's one DLC that they couldn't save from the source code or whatever. I think it was like is it Mass Effect 1 DLC called The Citadel, I think is what it was called.
Oh.
But it was mostly like combat stuff. I think maybe the name is wrong. There's one DLC that they didn't bring over because like the source code was basically lost.
Oh, bummer.
But it was like a bunch of combat missions with no story and like no decisions that carried anywhere.
Okay.
So everyone was kind of like, well, you have to lose one.
As things go, if things don't affect the story, maybe don't put them in. Maybe we should talk about Eiyuden for a minute.
But capitalism machine must go burr, Andrew.
I understand, especially with DLC, that the capitalism machine requires that since they can't charge the amount of money they should charge for things, they have to find ways to nickel and dime for other things. Mm-hmm. Eiyuden Chronicle Rising did not require that. I like the game, but it should have been 3 hours shorter.
Ooh, man, 3 hours shorter.
That would have been a super short game.
Yeah, what, like 6 or 8 hours at that point? Less than 8, probably.
So staring at my times, these are a little bit unfair. My time to beat for a full playthrough before starting hard mode was 15 hours. Now, that's unfair because I prepped to play hard mode and possibly 100% the game. So I was spending time grinding before the game ended for post-game content because I knew it was there. So like
Fair enough.
upgrading armor, things like that I did not need to beat the game. So I think right around 9 hours would have been perfect if you were going to do it just straight through. I don't know. There was a lot of, let's say a lot of the citizen quests I just didn't read. I just didn't read them after a certain point in the game. I could tell which ones I needed to read, and most of them I didn't, and I just started banging on the A button.
I think that's fair, and I don't know that I'm terribly different, especially because by the point in the game that you got to that point, right?
Yeah.
You knew who were the shopkeepers and like cared because those people's things were going to matter,
Right.
versus like random so-and-so from the residential district.
I need to go catch a choice fish. I'm
care.
I'm gonna wait through 4 text boxes to find out I need to catch a choice fish.
Uh-huh.
That stuff for me, you can leave it in the game even. A lot of the stuff in this game, I want to be clear up front. I liked it. I played it. I'm still playing it. I have one hard mode boss left to beat. I'm very close to upgrading all the armor to max. I have lots of money now. I mean, I'm invested in the game. I'm in hard mode. I'm still playing it at 18 hours or whatever. But when I feel like I should probably move on to something else, I'm still doing it. So this is a critique, not a criticism. When they showed me the bulletin board, I thought it was genius. And then I realized it wasn't.
So
Yeah.
why not?
Because I thought the bulletin board was just a quest board where you could go there and pick them all up.
Ah. As opposed to it being a go find this person board.
Yeah. So you have to become pretty adept at reading lots and lots of screens. I think someone should have come through with a scalpel after they had kind of designed the aesthetics and the menuing and all that sort of stuff in this game and said, okay, why is this 3 screens when it could be 1? So like when you complete a quest, right? First it says quest complete. Then it says the XP you get. Then it says the money you get. Then it says the item you get. Then it does a level up screen. Then it possibly does the thing where it builds the building. Then it tells you if you leveled up. That's like 9 things that you have to A button through. Where maybe 1 screen could have been designed to put all those things up.
I both agree with you and have a quibble with that notion, because if I agree in that it definitely, like, there's definitely a game that exists where all this stuff happens with like 1 screen, right?
They're called Final Fantasy.
Or any number of other RPGs, right? Like that's definitely a thing that is done.
Yeah,
But
and
also,
I
it
get
doesn't
that.
feel like a production when you do that, right? You just feel like, all right, levels up, great. Like, do you notice your stats in Final Fantasy games?
No.
Like,
Depends
never.
on which one, but not on the kind of screen that you're talking
I
about.
don't think though that's necessarily related to this. I think Eiyuden especially should get some credit for the stat screen. Because it's good.
And like when I leveled up a shop or when I leveled up a building, I noticed and was like, okay, now I know there's something going on here. It was like a production in my mind.
I think
Like, okay, sweet. Now I know I have blacksmith at level 5.
Sure.
And I have this at level 4. I need to get this and this and like those
Yeah.
sorts of things. Like,
I definitely think some of it should stay. I was saying, it's a very good aesthetic, and I understood the aesthetic, and I think they should have designed it the way that they designed it. And then somebody else should have come through and said, oof, this takes a long time in the 160 quests. It's every single time you got to do the quest complete, EXP, money. Like, maybe we could shorten it a little bit and still keep the things like the building getting built every time and the vendor level up thing. You know, like I said, a scalpel, not a hatchet.
okay.
You know what I mean?
A little
Yeah.
pruning.
Yeah, like light pruning, and maybe 120 quests instead of 160.
But that stamp animation is so good.
The stamp animation is very good.
Okay, did you guys notice the stamp cards? Right, you're
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, like the little animation they do for putting the stamp on.
Mhm.
Man, that little square or whatever the symbol is for the stamp gets rotated like an infinite number of times across those cards. I don't know that
Not a
there
single
are-
one is
I loved
duplicated.
it. I
It's
loved it.
very close to none of them being the same. Like
Yeah.
160 unique placements of that little sticker on that card. It may not be exactly that, but it's close, and that's
Yeah.
like ridiculous. Like, what a touch, man.
I think for such a light game, I described Spiritfarer. I think Spiritfarer is a much lighter game than this. Eiyuden tries to hide that it's not a light game because there's things in here that are not easy to understand. And like the accessories thing I texted you guys about, and even then we were wrong. So like, if you equip an experience accessory, it does only affect the character that it's on.
Really?
Yep. The food, I can tell you it is because Guru didn't have one, and now everybody's 2 levels ahead of him.
Oh, you know what? It wasn't an accessory I was using. I was using the in boost.
See? So then there's the in boost, and the in boost is good as long as you don't go to sleep. And then there's the
Right.
food boosts, and the food boosts are permanent. And like you got to find a way for all these things to interact. And like it's a complicated game because you might want crit chance early, but actually if you get to hard mode, you don't need any crit chance because there's accessories for crit. Like you start having to actually manage access. The first mode of the game is really just very easy. You kind of don't even have to think about it. And
Oh, yeah.
I beat hard mode without I don't know how many bosses are there. 6 bosses technically, I guess. 1, 2,
5.
5 bosses. So I've beat,
5.5.
okay, so four of the 5 bosses without really getting to level like a high level in hard mode, and you can even do that without trying super hard. I mean, you have to get good at combo link attacking and have a
Right.
crit thing.
The level is not important. Really, the only thing the level is doing is keeping you in the game and not forcing you to farm materials for like potions and stuff to keep going.
Yeah.
Because like I would say 70 or 80% of the game, I didn't use a single potion, and I was just like, whatever.
Hard mode hits, and then boom, you got to start using them.
And then it was like, oh, these potions are useful for allowing me never to go back and rest. And so that I could just like spam in buffs and keep them for forever and not have to spend money that way. And then I could use it more on upgrades, right? And then it's like, okay, now the hard mode stuff is like,
Yeah.
I absolutely need to be on these combos 100% of the time, or my characters are going to be in a bad life place.
I thought
sure.
hard mode was a good version of the game, and I think that the game should have been slightly less less long and shorter or something, some pruning. Fishing was very interesting. I don't know if you noticed that again, like the other accessories, you needed to have the character out that had the fishing gear on. So
I don't
like,
think I even used it.
oh man, you
I
should
never
have
used it for fishing, but I used it for mining and wood cutting all the time.
Okay. So, when you do the fishing games and you need to catch like the hardest fish, it fills up the whole screen with the chain of things you need to hit in order, right? The mini game.
Right.
Yeah, the harder fishes are longer.
Probably like 8 or 10 buttons you have to hit in the timer. What if it was just 4?
That's what the trinket does. It
The
makes
trinket
buttons
just
shorter.
lowers the number down so that a regular fish is 1 button press. The medium fish is 2.
That's a
The
whole
hard
different thing.
fish is 3.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it's really funny, and I didn't know it at first. I thought all it was doing was giving me a higher chance at getting better fish, which is what it says it does, right?
That's what the description is.
That's what the description says. And so I didn't think about, okay, well, Guru has it equipped, so I'm using CJ, and CJ's got a better chance of catching fish. Completely untrue. When I switched to Guru one time to test this theory after discovering the EXP buff was only working on certain characters, then the little button presses changed, and the first fish I caught was 1 button. Literally just pressed X.
That's so funny. I wonder if it also then gives you a better chance of getting a better fish, because
it definitely does. Yeah.
Because so all the quest fish, I feel like I didn't have to try very hard to catch them. It was like,
no, they
was
just
like
show
you
up.
got it.
Yeah.
But the other, like later when I was catching them for materials, like getting the higher ranked fish was a extraordinary pain.
Oh no.
But I guess that's because I wasn't doing this right.
The level 5 pendants are like really, really good. I put the Prospector's level 5 on and ran through Quarry like 3 times, and all of a sudden I have high purity ore coming out my butt. It's
okay.
It's interesting. And the fish do take up space in your resource bag also. So everything's a resource. I like that game. It was fun. I may not 100% it. I'm definitely going to do all the hard bosses. I think that if people are into light RPGs, it's really good. Like you guys had said before. So I'm glad we all played it. Probably the last time we'll talk about Eiyuden for like 2 more years until the next game comes out. But story-wise, it seemed like they set it up nicely for like the whole Imperial lore dump, and like there's a bad guy out there.
Yeah, you definitely at the end of which they could have also strung that part out a little bit. You know, maybe move some of that into the middle of the game as opposed to all in the last hour.
Yeah.
That's my criticism. I think big one is just like, geez, man, they lore dump you at the end.
I did see the twist coming like halfway through the game. It was like pretty well telegraphed, but also they did a good job of making you think it could be 2 other characters that were responsible. So, you know, I doubted myself a little bit, but at the end it's confirmed, and then you go through the like hero's arc and all that sort of stuff, and the last boss battle's kind of fun-ish. It's not any harder than most of the rest of the game in my opinion, because they give you those little platforms to hide under.
Boss would be miserable without those platforms too.
You couldn't. I don't think you could beat it without those platforms. I don't know. It'd be really hard because you can't. Unlike the 2 harder bosses in the game, you can't air juggle because he's invulnerable.
Yeah, that's the really annoying part, because I definitely air juggled the crap out of the other 2 bosses. Like I did a lot of the like CJ in the air, whoop 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 whoop, air jump, whoop 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 whoop. Like I used that quite a bit.
Oh yeah, if you can link well, you can just air. I think I might even have it on video doing the Blizzard boss and never touching the ground.
Yeah,
once you get the infinite combo accessory.
Oh, no, like during the real game, like just never touching the ground.
Yep.
Yeah.
If your damage is high enough, you can for sure. I don't think I was that strong at that point, but like once we got to the hard mode stuff, I started being able to infinite combo.
Like I said, I don't think the game's too long in my playthrough. Like I have 15 hours. I was at that point already planning to play for hard mode because it was described to me what it was, and I was enjoying it enough to like say, okay, I'm gonna plan to play hard mode, and so my playthrough is probably 3 hours longer than it needed to be. And if I hadn't been planning to play for hard mode, I think the bosses might have been a little more tough. But if you just sort of do everything along the way, the bosses in the regular playthrough aren't that hard. But I think they did a good job overall. I don't know. I mean, I hope the rest of the Eiyuden game is similar to this. I assume it will be.
Yeah, very unclear what the actual combat of that Eiyuden game is supposed to be. It's not supposed to be an action RPG, so I don't know what we will get.
Yeah, who are the 100 heroes, and will we see our characters again, do you think?
I'm going to go with yes on seeing the characters again, whether or not they'll be part of the 100 heroes.
Yeah, it definitely is set up like you're going to have to do something to help these people later. I mean, right? I mean, Garu's got a thing that needs to be taken care of. Isha's got a thing that needs to be taken care of. You know?
I mean, also, you know, these characters are, it's meant to be a lead into that game. It's entirely possible we see these people as like quest givers or NPCs with names in the towns that you do stuff for or work with you. And if the Suikoden games are any roadmap, which, spiritual successors and whatnot, hundreds a lot of people, man. You got to get all kinds of people in there,
Yeah. So I never played Suikoden. I know it. I don't know if any of us played it.
Oh, I love those games, man.
Okay.
1 and 2 are great. 2 in particular is like especially great, but 1 is also very good. And they're, for RPGs of the PlayStation era, they are short.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like again, we're sliding scale here. Longer than Eiyuden here, but Eiyuden Rising here, but not long games as RPGs go, especially games of that era.
So it's 20 hours main story.
Yeah, Suikoden 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. And 2 is a bit longer, but the main story is not long in those games. Now, the side stuff is amazing, and like getting all 108 heroes is going to take you way longer in those games.
Sure. I mean, they're older games, right?
Yeah, and some of the conditions you have to meet in order to get all the heroes or see all the stories from all the characters is truly obnoxious, and there's no way you would be able to do that stuff without guides. So, don't. But the main story is perfectly enjoyable, and there is like small amounts of needing to level up, but if you fight all the monsters you meet along the way, you'll be fine. Yeah, and it's pretty good. I like those games, and the story in 2 is so good. Oh, the young boy builds an army thing is a good it's a good trope sometimes.
Well, I wouldn't have been able to play it on Steam Deck because I played it through Game Pass, but it is deck verified in case people are like on the fence about playing Rising. I think it's worth it. It's probably a really good deck verified their Steam Deck game also.
Oh yeah, that game would be great mobile for sure.
Yeah. So there you have it. Yeah, I think we're good on Eiyuden Rising. What a fun little game. I think it was.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Definitely.
How much was it as an add-on of the Kickstarter? Like $7 or
I
something?
paid $7 for the one that Michael ended up using.
Yeah.
Extremely worth $7.
Yeah. I wonder if Suikoden's out there somewhere. I typed Suikoden into Steam, which is how I know that it's deck verified. Because and the only thing that came up,
I would tell you if it was on Steam, I would own it.
Oh,
it's not.
Well, the only
available on PlayStation Classics for a while. I don't know if that's a thing you can get to on PS5. It may only be PS4 and PS3. I know it was available on PS3 at some point as a like PS1 download kind of thing, or Vita, right?
I might be able to still get it on my Vita then. Or Mr. someday.
May I recommend you just get emulation? It's way better.
Well, playing stuff mobile sounds fun, Yeah,
you can get those emulators on your phone.
Oh, I see. Well, if you type Suikoden into Steam, the first 2 games that come up are Eiyuden Rising and Eiyuden 100 Heroes. So that's a good sign.
I'm telling you, they know what they're about.
Yeah. Well, before we stray too far into Suikoden land, we have to start talking about something else that begins with S. Because Michael, speaking of things that might have been too long, how was that Stranger Things finale? This is the spoiler warning for Stranger Things Season 4. You have 3 seconds to comply. Well,
all right. It never felt. I don't think there was ever a point in the finale where it felt too long.
I agree.
Right. Like I know when a show or a movie is feeling too long because I have the urge to look at my watch and be like, how much time has gone by?
Yep.
And I never had that feeling with the finale. So they were good on the length as far as keeping my attention was concerned.
Yeah.
Yeah. Multiple points where I was like, almost on the edge of my seat being like, no, they're not going to do this. Like that kind of, following of the plot and the characters.
Yeah.
And like that's pretty rare these days. So I feel like they did a really good job.
I loved season 4. I know a lot of people didn't because they said it was too spread out or things like that. Like the story was all over the place. There were definitely times that you noticed like, wow, we haven't seen like Mike in a while. Where's Mike at? It's just driving through the desert for 2 episodes. Like
I definitely think some of the storylines didn't have enough meat to carry the length of the show they were doing. But the finale and the way they all came together and like the storylines that were being used in those time, I still liked and I still wanted those to be there. Like, I don't want to sacrifice that in order to make it not feel as bad that we haven't heard from Hopper meaningfully in like 2 episodes.
Well, that's the thing is sometimes the story just means you can't check in with everyone all the time. And I think that it worked the way they did it. And I'm glad they didn't try to, worry about, well, this person's screen time, XYZ, and just fill time instead of just going with whatever the story needed to be.
Well, and I think that as a skill of consumers of media has kind of been lost in the days of everything on demand and streaming, right? You don't have to learn how to be patient to get the rest of a story when all the episodes are suddenly at your fingertips at once.
I mean, that's changing. Unless you wait, like that Strange New Worlds came out week by week. Mandalorian comes out week by week. Most services just put them out week by week. Even Netflix tried a new strategy here of like, well, we're going to put it out in parts. So there'll be a part 1 and a part 2, and they'll be a month apart so that you'll have to stay, connected for more than a month. And so I think that the on-demandness of Netflix is probably headed for the dumpster in general.
I suspect none of the other streaming services do it anymore, the binge stuff. And I think Netflix's own data is going to start showing that they lose views doing it this way.
I'm sure it will.
And as their subscriber numbers have apparently tanked in recent months and years, they're going to be incentivized to draw this stuff out so that people keep coming back.
It is what it is, it was a fun little dream we had, thinking you could just. I mean, I've been subscribed to Netflix. It doesn't matter, I don't unsubscribe, unfortunately, maybe for my wallet, but
they do have stuff every now and then, like a movie here or a show there that I'm like, all right, this is like worth my subscription, right?
Yeah.
But there are other services I'm watching much more frequently.
Oh yeah,
I will say so.
Yeah,
but getting back to Stranger Things.
Frequently, it's an interesting question though, because frequently versus hours, right? Like, you just spent how many hours watching Stranger Things?
Oh yeah.
So,
but like over the course of like a month, basically.
Right. But that's their problem, right? A month of tune in time.
Like I could have subscribed for 2 months to Stranger Things, and then cancel my subscription now and save money probably, right?
Yeah. But back on topic, like you were trying to say.
Did you guys see how many people have found new 80s music that they like love through this show?
New to them.
New to them. Yes.
Yeah.
Kate Bush is running up that hill. That song charted in the US.
No, there's a better story that came from this, bud. Have you heard?
You're going to talk about Metallica.
Metallica, which is not a surprise.
Did a extremely sweet thing and posted a video of them playing along with Eddie from the show.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Cool. Oh yeah.
Need to find that.
It was like on TikTok, running like in the other half of the frame or whatever.
Okay.
And like they're playing the song as the song is being played in the show.
So unlike Kate Bush, Metallica obviously is very well known, maybe more well known than Kate Bush. I don't have statistics to say.
I would say that it definitely is.
That's a pretty fair statement to make.
Like unambiguously, not even close.
Master of Puppets never charted.
Is that true? Wow. That's hard. I guess metal was not nearly as popular then as it is now.
Master of Puppets charted after that episode.
Yeah.
I bet it did.
Hey, that's a good song. and
a great scene.
Yeah. Oh, so good. And the greatest part of it is he played it. Like, that's him actually playing it.
Yeah, that video of him practicing is impressive.
The actor can play the guitar, learned to play Master of Puppets for the scene.
And you can now say that Eddie charted the song 36 years after its release.
Hey, man. And Metallica is like, sweet, sweet royalties. Thank
Yep.
you. Stranger Things.
Yep.
And whoever is Kate Bush still alive? I assume she is.
I think she is.
And she's probably rolling in it too, or well, as much as anyone gets these days from records. But
I'm sure she got some amount of money. I don't know how much you get from streaming, but
yeah,
I mean,
Yeah.
Anyway, if it leads to a whole generation of people discovering, hey, Kate Bush is pretty good, it'd be like, yes, thank you.
I wouldn't mind a little revival of Metallica style metal.
Yeah, no complaints for me.
Yeah.
So that is like the most one of the best things I've seen coming out of this.
I think a lot of good stuff came out of it. At the story, how did you guys feel? The change in the Upside Down becoming not a unknown evil, but a developed, considered, and created evil, right? The Upside Down has changed from the first season of there's this thing we have to beat from another world, and it sends bad things here. And it's somewhat related to 11, to the hubris of man and what we have wrought on ourselves.
I think that, given that they have taken, 4 seasons and many, many more years than that to get to this point, like it feels earned somewhat, right? Like they have taken their time in spinning this tale and explaining what this thing is about. And now, supposedly going into the last season, we kind of understand the nature of it and sort of how it came to be. I feel like that's an appropriate amount of time, right?
And I think, too, to add to that it would feel like an unequal playing field because they spend all of this time in the last 4 seasons, like taking these kids and turning them into more and more complex human beings. And to pit them against something that is just like generic eldritch horror, it would feel one-sided, right? They need to be pitted against something that is equally complex.
Yeah, the show does the great thing that a lot of like superhero shows don't do, in that they spend enough time developing the villain. And if you think of the villain as in this show, Vecna specifically, but like the Upside Down as a whole is sort of the bad, the evil side. Like they've spent almost as much time sort of like explaining the monsters and the villains from there as the kids, right? And that, gives weight to when things happen.
Maybe too much time. I don't really have a lot of complaints over 4 seasons from Stranger Things, and one of them being entirely aesthetic. One of them being from season 3 that was, I think they shouldn't have taken aesthetics of throwing firecrackers inside over the reality of throwing firecrackers inside.
Sure.
So that's a minor gripe, right? Like that's the filmmakers making the thing. But you're saying they spend a lot of time on developing this bad guy this season. And while I saw the twist coming a little bit sooner, maybe, than other people might have, it didn't mean that it was unearned or not good, or that it didn't deserve the exposition that it got. But I don't know if you noticed, between episode 7 and episode 8, we got the same exposition 2 times in about roughly the same length of 15 minutes each time.
For people who watched the show when it came out, there was about a month and change in between there.
Yeah.
And that probably was useful for the people who picked it up after the month-long break.
Sure.
Now, the We Were Gamers side of this is probably that we did not experience that month. I think when my partner and I watched it together, we were about it was like a week wait for us. So it was basically like the amount of time we would have been waiting anyway, because we don't generally watch those sorts of shows during the week, and we're watching them on the weekend anyhow. So it was really no big deal.
I understand that. What I ended up thinking when watching them back to back was, I kind of like the second time where it was Mike's sister when she was Nancy when she was when she was inside his head and watching the exposition as he explained it to her versus
the other thing that
him explaining it to 11 in the back flashbacks and everything, you know,
through 11 experiencing it in the Nina, right?
Yeah. I thought one of them had more weight because it was a character in jeopardy and it was like, this is a good time for exposition, where, you know, obviously that, you know, 11 got through the danger she was in fighting him before.
Right. I think the important thing that doing the exposition twice also did, besides helping to remind the audience of like, hey, you haven't watched this for a month and whatever, here's what's going on. The other benefit is that it allowed the other half of the characters to know the stuff that 11 knows without like needing 11 to like, you know, having to call 11 on the phone and have her like talk a bunch of stuff or whatever.
I wrote that down to talk to you about, which was how cool was it that the writing for the show made sure that all the characters figured out the things that were happening all at the same time.
Without needing to talk to each other.
Without needing to explain anything to each other, without needing to assume they had figured stuff out, without needing to anything. The show laid out, look, this is how these characters find out what's going on. This is how these characters find out what's going on. Everyone knows what's going on in a organic way. I thought that was really cool.
And honestly, like that is part of the reason why the show is so great, because they don't end up spending scenes where someone explains to the other people in the room, here's what's happening. And, you know, by proxy, the audience, right? But like those scenes drag frequently, right?
Oh, yeah.
But they're needed in order to make sure that like stuff makes any narrative sense. And that's the kind of stuff that gets, you know, cut out of like tightly edited movies.
Oh, and honestly, it's some of the dangerous territory that Discovery gets into is when characters sit around plot expositioning each other all the time.
Absolutely.
And then if we're going to take that praise, we have to get to my third ever criticism of Stranger Things, 2 in 1 season.
Uh-oh.
Eddie just disappears. We don't get to see anyone else in the Upside Down's reaction. How do they get out of there without seeing his body? And then we get a 2-day time jump, and other than Dusty, no one cares.
Well, so you touched on one of my questions, which is how do they get out of there?
Hashtag justice for Barb, but now it's Eddie.
No justice for Eddie. Just, it was a very jarring. I mean, Eddie deserves props. Let's be clear. But it's a very jarring kind of scene where Dusty. There's no point in Dusty jumping through and hurting himself other than to see him die, to give him an audience of somebody, right? Instead of letting him die alone. But like the limp and the fall and all that sort of stuff seems really superfluous for now. And not only is Dusty just there to see him die, there's no payoff with Dusty then really talking to anybody other than his uncle. It just seems strange and it's jarring when all of a sudden it's a 2-day time jump. Like just immediately, like 2 days later, we're all packing up our old toys as if nothing happened.
Well, I mean, they're going to volunteer at the shelter for the peoples whose lives were destroyed. I don't feel like it's like nothing happened.
Yeah.
So I understand, like, yeah, I don't know. That is a criticism that a lot of people have leveled, is that, you know, why are they putting these characters through all this pain, but then all of them make it out every time at the end, right? It's like
maybe
people have asked and said they should be killing characters off. I think some of the actors have said they should be killing characters off.
I'm not sure they need to be killing characters. I don't think that was my point. I just felt like there's a lot of buildup for Eddie understanding who and what Steve is, right? There's a big through line in the story of like Eddie makes assumptions about Steve. People make assumptions about Eddie. A lot of characters work together, and there's a big undertone to the show of like, look, you need to understand who other people are. The whole like D&D's a cult thing, right? Like you need to understand who other people are. You can't just make assumptions about who they are. Eddie makes assumptions about who Steve is. And then he watches Steve be a hero multiple times when no one's looking, right? And lives up to that after a scene where he says to him, don't be a hero, as he's going off to be a hero. And then we don't get to see Steve's reaction to that. And it just seems very truncated in a show that was 2.5 hours long to begin with. I feel like, why not give those characters that moment? And you're right, they do go to a food bank and they do seem like they're trying to help. And there are moments there where it was clear that they are hurting. It just, you're left with a rushed moment in a show that's 2.5 hours long. It's like, why are we rushing it?
I think something that occurred to me just now while you were explaining here is that I think maybe the writers got stuck and were like, we can't find a way to get Eddie out of this that doesn't involve revealing all of the upside down stuff to the police, because the situation they put him in, the police are arresting that man and putting him in jail forever. Right?
Yeah,
like he doesn't get away with this.
Just like what's his name?
Like Victor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so like that is maybe even more of a bummer of a death, like of a way to like have the character go out. It's like, oh well, Eddie's in jail forever and we can never prove he's innocent because the cops won't believe us.
Yeah,
like, it sucks more.
Well, so the follow-up to that then is they got out somehow. They just left him there. Right?
Yeah, I mean,
they said he's missing in the earthquake, so they just left his body, and like they care about this guy so much. He's one of the tribe and the crew, and they obviously get out somehow, but they leave Eddie's body in the upside down. Seems not characteristic to me.
So something I guess I didn't fully understand at the end, and maybe this will inform some of our opinion here. At the end, he splits open the worlds for a bit there, right?
I think they're still split open.
They're still split open.
So people are not just like constantly falling through all the time.
I think people definitely did fall through because they said that a bunch of people were dead and missing, which was
his name got cut in half.
Yeah.
Well, that's not missing.
Yeah.
No, but the people that were missing, quote unquote, probably fell through or died in there. And I thought that was a really good anti-Marvel touch of like, and now the world is damaged and destroyed. And other than Iron Man 3, we don't care that people got hurt. Versus this one's like, a small town in Hawkins has a small earthquake problem go through the downtown. 800 people died.
Yeah.
It was, it was more considered. I think that they thought, well, if we're going to do this, unfortunately, it's going to damage this town and kill people. So, well done overall. I mean, those are small gripes. The way a character goes out is the way a character goes out. And, it just seemed like a rushed end afterwards, right? Like if it had been a main character, would they have just gone to 2 days later? No.
It is one of those unfortunate aspects of Stranger Things has a big habit of killing the new character they introduce every season.
Billy.
Yeah.
Billy got it. And
Eddie.
Now Eddie.
Wait, how many people's names? No, Barb was Barb. I was trying
Barb
to think.
Was season 1.
No, I was trying to think if they all end in IE or Y.
Oh.
No.
Yeah, I don't think so. But they do have that habit. I don't know was anyone killed in season 2? Maybe not.
I don't remember.
Regardless,
someone else remembers. They're talking more about this show than we are in terms of the nuances of everything. I think it's better to get a general. It's been years since Stranger Things season 2.
Yeah, I think the other thing that I'm concerned about for them now, because they didn't film this and the next one back to back, it's gonna be like 2 years on the low end, probably like 3 or 4 before they put out another one of these.
Yeah.
Can kids are getting pretty old, you know? For need to do something with time here because
wait.
11 is going to be like 20.
Was season 2 Bob?
Bob was season 1.
Is he season 1? I don't remember.
Remind me who Bob is.
Bob is Sean Astin.
Rudy, Joyce's boyfriend.
Joyce's boyfriend, Bob.
Maybe that was.
I'm pretty sure it's season 2.
Season 2.
Because it's the season with where we get what's his name? Shoot. God, my brain doesn't work on this stuff anymore. I used to remember so many actors' names.
Yeah, that was season 2 for sure. I'm pretty sure you're right.
It was Bob. Bob was season 2.
Well, anyway, I'm never gonna remember. Apparently, the Dr. Owens. Who plays Dr. Owens?
Paul Reiser.
Paul Reiser. God, my brain just doesn't do it, man.
You know, I find something as a person who is old, especially since I'm older than you, I can, as your elder, help you with this sort of thing. It helps when you explain to the people around you what you're trying to say, rather than just going, I can't think of it. To be like, the old guy, he's a famous actor, he's in the diner, and then we all would have just said Paul Reiser immediately.
I see.
That diner scene.
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
I mean, just the Duffer Brothers' ability to create characters in general, like nuanced, three-dimensional characters.
Matthew Modine getting both the redemption and the horrible backstab in the same season.
Yeah.
Was he
Pretty
redeemed?
Good. I mean, he kind of redeemed himself, showing that he was there to help Eleven and help her get her powers back and do the right thing. And then he brutally backstabbed by taking her choice away and forcing her to do something.
Yeah, it was it's not. I don't think he's redeemed. Way. When
see, I would agree with that because he dies without her forgiveness, right? That would have been the end of a redemption arc. Is if she were able to forgive him.
He was redeemed from being the evil guy all along in the beginning of this season. And then backstabbed you with the redemption at the end.
Oh, he backstabbed his own redemption.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, in that order, redeemed, then backstabbed everyone, right? And back to, you thought he was a good guy, and then he turned back around being back into the evil guy you thought he was at the end.
He is the embodiment of the thesis, right? Of season 4, which is there are a lot of characters running around thinking they know better than everyone else, and they're causing a lot of problems.
And I think the army guy is even worse than him.
The general.
Right? Yeah.
I guess we don't know if he's the army or whatever, but yeah, the general is. We know who's coming back next season. It's that guy after he walks out of the desert for 15 days. That scene where they all drive out, all walk out and notice all their cars are blown up. The helicopter has crashed. And it's just this the pizza van driving away. They're like, what happened?
I think that's just the kicker. The pizza van fading into the distance.
Yep. Oh man, what was his new pizza friend's name? I can't remember.
Argyle.
I was Argyle because I kept in my head thinking Argyle, and I was like, no, that's from Die Hard.
Nope, that's him.
It's okay. It is Argyle.
No, so that just prediction here. That is going to be the costume at Comic-Con this year. Surfer Boy Pizza. Surfer Boy Pizza.
Yeah.
Surfer Boy Pizza. Yeah.
Because you remember what Scoops Ahoy was 3 years ago.
Oh, that's true. Right. Yeah,
that's true. Scoops Ahoy was extremely popular.
I mean, if someone's selling a Surfer Boy Pizza shirt, I would buy one.
There you go.
The Hawaiian shirt or the button up?
The yellow.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think I want the t-shirt, but the button up might be all right too.
The button up wouldn't be bad either. I wouldn't wear the visor, but I would wear the yellow or the Hawaiian shirt he's got going on. I like this. I liked his getup mostly. I liked that Argyle was never put in danger at all, ever.
It fits for his character. Peace-loving man.
Yeah, just his heart.
And every moment they needed him to step up, he's the only one that does, right? Like, how? Oh, look at these military tire tracks. Oh, you need a place with tons of salt. Oh, you need a getaway vehicle.
It's like the stoner logic comes through every single time.
Yep.
He's like, well, you know, it has a lot of salt, dude. Pizza. It's like, oh, you're right. Dang, it does.
500 pounds of it. Wow. I don't think there's a show out there that makes you think more highly of it right now, and just the way that it is very meticulously put together.
Yep. The stories you hear about the attention to detail they have on all these sets, with like period clothes, period stuff in the shots, and it's like the actors talk about it being exhausting, but it comes through in the final production, man. That stuff makes a difference.
Really does.
Oh, you can't beat perfect atmosphere, like things that even aren't period perfect, but create visual tension. A door in the desert.
And like so many homages to other super famous stuff, right?
Oh,
the
yeah.
door in the desert thing from, what was that movie? It's a Stephen King one, right?
Maybe.
Is that right?
That's
Anyway,
a reference I don't get. Yeah.
There's another movie with that exact scene, man. They knew what they were doing and they ripped it off intentionally.
Yeah.
And there's other references to like those sorts of movies all throughout this show.
You know what? There's probably more than one Stephen. You know, they probably are a lot of Stephen King references, considering it's a horror genre show. I know this season was clearly referencing The Thing multiple times, especially even with the flamethrower.
Yeah.
Not just having a flamethrower, obviously having a flame, but like the way they talk about the monsters while he's holding the flamethrower is like exactly one of those scenes from The Thing. You know?
Yep. I mean, there are
wearing the puffy jacket. You know,
there are oh yeah, dude. Dude, I forgot about. That's right. He does wear that jacket. There are copious references throughout this whole season, and I mean all of the seasons, to other super famous media from the 80s that, like, if you are, you know, going on those YouTube like Easter egg websites or whatever, like
people with way too much time.
Yeah, they will have picked it apart.
That's their job.
But there are like tons of them, and it's all intentional. They didn't just accidentally come by the same framing for the same shot as this famous movie. That's not an accident.
Sure. Yeah, there's a lot of framing and stuff like that. You know, there's also Michael Myers references. You know, there's a lot. Molly Ringwald references, and I'm just trying to think of ones off the top of my head.
The like claiming the special forces that come and shoot up the house are like Colombian separatists or whatever. Isn't that from Red Dawn or whatever? Isn't it one of those movies where like the communists come in and invade the suburbs? Isn't that that movie?
It is.
Yeah. Oh man, I think there's a lot of Stephen King in there. I think that Ballroom reminded me a lot of like Carrie. Now that I'm just sitting here thinking of things.
But also like Back to the Future, right? They have like
the under the sea dance.
Yeah, good. So I mean, it's left at an interesting spot. One of the main characters is in a hospital, lost. You know, like that was pretty traumatic to see Max go through that. So all those people that said those characters aren't in jeopardy, you know, she's in jeopardy there.
Yeah.
Had her arms and legs mangled. Not to my liking. It was not fun to watch.
No. Was really unhappy watching that happen. Didn't feel good.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just good. It's good. So speaking, I mean, Michael, you mentioned it. The Surfer Boy Pizza #1 costume at Comic-Con. Comic-Con is coming up.
Yeah, it is. It will be happening when this episode goes up.
Oh yeah, that's true. I mean, it's technically already. I see people posting their how to get in guides already because of the vaccination checks and things like that.
Yep.
So yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be a strange year. There's a lot of Star Trek, JJ. A lot.
Yeah.
They're having a Star Wars moment here, the Renaissance.
They just have a lot of shows going concurrently.
That's true.
You know?
I mean, let's see. What? Prodigy, Lower Decks, Picard, Discovery, Strange New Worlds. At least 2 more shows in pre or some form of production.
Yeah, announced shows that they've been working on for a while, maybe, and who knows if they'll ever actually do. But
Yeah.
yep.
It's a decent amount. I see, bringing back some of the main characters. There's Picard, so I don't know. I don't think I have the gall to try and get into Hall H anymore.
It's just so much effort anymore.
Maybe it won't be. We'll see. I don't know. I don't know what to think going into it, but I'm nervous. So we'll have to report back next week.
Yep.
We will.
Unless there's anything major you're looking forward to that we should tell people about that they should watch online. Or tune in next week for it.
Well, they can send all the stuff they're excited for and the stuff they're interested in to podcast@weweregamers.com, and you'll hear about what we did next week, probably.
Yeah.
And hopefully we will have done some cool things and be able to talk about them.
Undoubtedly.
For sure. Out of you when I sat down at the computer and logged into Steam because there's a big banner on the front page for the Monument Valley Panoramic Collection.
Oh, what's Panor? Is it just made for screens, basically?
Yeah, they put out new editions of the 2 games on Steam.
I want to finish the version on my phone because I haven't beat the second one ever.
Really?
No, I never beat the second one.
Ah,
There's so much out there, man.
I know.
It's like, I don't know how I'm ever gonna. I don't know how people do it. Like I'm playing this Eiyuden thing, thinking like I should put this down and stop because I've got other stuff to play. But I'm also somewhat enjoying the fact that I'm doing well at this game. Like I very clearly have, done the part where it's like I will beat the things if I want to beat the things.
Yep.
Because I understand the combat. I do well in the combat, and I've upgraded the characters. So why wouldn't I keep playing to its complete conclusion? I don't know. I just, whatever. Can't tell me to stop. I think I've got, let's see, hold on here. Clicking these things. All right. I need to make a max level rune. Upgrade everyone's weapons and armor to max in the smithy.
Yep.
Beat the lava boss. Beat the final boss.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what this one is. It says secret achievement.
Hang on, I'm just pulling mine back up here. It is, I bet I know which one it is too. It was probably the last one that I got. Oh no, beating the last boss was the last one I got, but it was probably, where is it? Try to be kind of fish. Do you have one unlocked called No Treasure Left Behind?
Yeah. Obtain all resources.
Oh, okay. So you got that one. I had to grind a bit to get that one to pop.
Your description of it allowed me to keep things in my inventory until it popped, and then I just started using stuff.
So actually, I think if I go to the
I can just go to your Steam account and I can compare my list. I can't compare them because I didn't play it on Steam, but
Okay. So yeah,
Right,
it's not going to show up
I'd have to move it.
if I looked at yours, but yeah, you can look at mine and see.
I can see what order they got unlocked in. I think they're in order.
Yeah, they'll show up on my
roughly. Defeat the final boss, defeat the lava boss, defeat the quarry, Great Forest, every area. I've done all those. I think I've done all of that. Max grade meat, yeah. Fish, money. Here's what it is. Garu's weapon and armor to max. Isha's weapon and armor to max. CJ's weapon and armor to max.
Okay.
Bring all parties members. Oh no, I have those. Arms and armor master. I have those already. Huh. Oh wait, is there anything for getting everybody to 50?
I think so. I think there's one for
Brought a character to level 50. That's what it's gonna be. I don't have that one yet.
Yeah, no one better.
Yeah. That's the one I don't have. So there you go. I have to get everybody to 50, upgrade all their armor and weapons, beat 2 more bosses, and create a max level rune.
I think you only have to get one of them to 50 for that one.
Oh, okay.
Because it sounds like you've got Garu ahead of the other two. So
Garu is actually far behind.
Oh, he's behind.
Yeah. So that's okay. I have to go grind lapis lazuli gems in Snow Peak.
Yep.
I need like 17 of them.
Oof. Yeah, I'd forgotten how many it was.
I need one for everybody's weapon and one for a lens and one for... It's like... Jesus
you can
Christ.
trade if you have more of another resource. You can trade for some at the trading post.
I mean, I need the golem fragments that you can trade for lapis because of the armor upgrades. So it's like,
yeah, you
well,
just
I'm not
get
gaining anything.
You get squeezed for resources regardless of how you try and do it.
Yep, I'm good on money. All the second round of post game quests give like 5,000 bakwa each.
Yes, it's like, why couldn't you have given this money the first time?
That's what I'm talking about with this game. Is like. Just spread it out, man. Like, it doesn't need to be this way. There's no reason that it has to be a grind. We could have made it a different way. That's all I'm saying. There's nothing inherently bad about that design, except that it is not as fun for me. I would prefer a game exactly like this, where maybe it's harder from the beginning, or the hard mode comes in, but you're basically like getting money way more evenly throughout the game.
Mm-hmm.
Or lock off more of this stuff until after the game's over so that people aren't like scraping to make things max when they really don't need to.
Yeah.
Because I really didn't need to. I really didn't. To beat the game.
Yep.
Oh no, come on. Really? So I just bought the entire series of Danganronpa on Steam.
Yeah.
For like $20 maybe during a sale. Just added to Game Pass today. Why? I'm never buying anything else ever again.
Never fails.